More than 20 graduates took the stage at Cherry Street Mission Ministries this afternoon to accept their certificates from the Workforce Development Program. Cherry Street partners with Northwest State Community College and Owens Community College to offer vocational courses in digital literacy, welding, tool and die, and customer service. The program is geared towards individuals looking to get back on their feet after facing struggles such as poverty or homelessness.
We know that this is a step towards real sustainable change in someone's life. This is what transformation looks like, and this is one of the steps towards total transformation.
Most students graduated with job interviews already lined up. Others landed jobs while taking their courses. Coming up tomorrow morning, NBC 24's Sophia Periconi spoke with graduates about what those courses meant to them. More than 20 graduates took the stage at Cherry Street Mission Ministries this afternoon to accept their certificate.
We'll get that back up. Hello, welcome.
Hello.
I see no instructions were needed. You found the cookies. It's just absolutely amazing. The cookies are a thank you. We just wanted to put a thank you out for all the great work that's being done. And this was last night's news, so I wanted to play that just as start of our shout outs. So thank you for all that you do. We're seeing very good results. Today, I'm going to do a few shout outs. Todd is going to do cybersecurity, and you have to look for it, but there's a kitten in there. I have not figured out how kittens get into cybersecurity, but he made that happen. Mike has a video for GameCon, hiding in the back of the room. Amy and Melody are going to talk about accelerated learning programs and the book. Let me try to think, what is the name of the book again?
Big Magic.
Big Magic, written by Elizabeth, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love.
Yes.
So I did like the 7-minute YouTube and the 5 things on it. That's all I got. So, but you're telling me this is a book I need to read?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll do a little bit on strategic planning for our next strategic plan, and then upcoming events and Q&A. So with that, do appreciate our work cumulatively, particularly in giving. Just as a reference point, the Real Men campaign, I think there were 8 or 9 of us, raised over $30,000, all simply by doing little things, no direct real solicitation. So very much appreciate Heart Walk, very much appreciate Alzheimer's Walk, and right now we're doing 25 Days of Giving, which I believe is December 9th is the point for that one. Also, Red Cross, 47 pints of blood given, so a record number, so very much appreciate that. And I do, brought to you by the letter N, was one of the cuter things on the planet. This is better than hearing the Baby Shark video over and over again, which is what I was getting. And Lisa's Entrepreneurship Forum, which I very much appreciate, the world of entrepreneurship in our area. Discover and rediscover, and I really want to thank Laura, our board chair, Hal was here, and one of the first things she did, she went around, she went, there's a lot of people here. And she was talking about students, talking about you. That she said, all these staff and faculty came up for today? And I went, yeah. And you could tell it made a real impression. So it's good when the board sees us in our space, seeing us do our thing. I give props to Audrey and Robin for Rediscover NSCC. We had an alumni lunch in this room, and it was very interesting listening to alumni who said consistently 2 things. This place has really changed. And this place looks really nice. They to a person commented on how our campus looks and how we've kept it up, and kind of it's like hearing from the investor in the company that goes, "I'm glad you're taking care of my assets for me," right? I mean that's the feeling that I got. And most every alumni brought a family member of college age to recruit. So that was like, yeah, I know, it's like, hello. So I was particularly touched by that. So that was genius. I really appreciate kind of doing those things. And then the faculty staff campaign, Megan gets extra props for sneaking the Robin photo in there. And we were at 89.6 last year. I think we'll get to 90%. So again, the part of the theme is to thank you for your generosity of time. And with that, I'm going to turn it over, and Todd is going to talk about cybersecurity.
So kind of as a prelude, thank you to Sarah, but see these white things dangling down? They're not cameras, they're microphones that feed the recordings. So that was a suggestion by Sarah, like if we're gonna record, can we actually be able to hear what's being said. So that's what they are. Whoops, wrong way. So I'm going to talk a little bit about cybersecurity. It's always in the news. There's always jobs. But why do we care? VMware published an article stating that there's approximately 1 million cyber attacks attempted every day. So if you think about that over the course of a year, the chances are you're going to experience one of those attacks. Is Tom Wiley in here? Now, he came in this morning very fearful that his laptop had been hacked. IT was able to take care of it for him, but so it's going to touch you at some point in time. The other reason we care as an organization, the rankings change depending on if you're looking at SANS or Cisco or whoever you read, but consistently, education is one of the top 5 attacked sectors in the world. So why are we looked at as a rich victim for cybersecurity? One, it's the data that we have, right? We have all this personal information about each and every one of you and each and every one of our students in our databases. So that's a honeypot, as they say in the cyber world, where you can go after and get the sweet stuff that you need to, identity theft, bank, break into people's bank accounts, things like that. So we're heavily targeted because of our data. The annual cost of cybercrime is expected to reach $6 trillion by 2021. It's currently at $3 trillion. So just in a couple of years, I expect that to double. I talked about this already. Why education? One, it's because of the data. But 2, traditionally, we're an easy target. There's not generally speaking, there's not a lot of resources put towards technology in higher education. Now, I would say we are an exception. I think we do a very good job of making sure that our technology is up to date and we have the latest and greatest. But around the state, my peers, when I talk to them, and many of them don't even have public Wi-Fi available on their entire campus, just like the atrium area. So a lot of our peers are not putting resources towards technology the way that we do. So we end up being an easy target, we being higher education in general. I'm going to talk a little bit about a few different types of attacks. So this is a phishing attack. And this is one that's not necessarily very specific. So I receive a lot of emails that say, hey, your PayPal account has been compromised, click here to restore. Or if it's not PayPal, it could be your Apple ID. But anytime you get an email saying, hey, your account's been compromised or it's not going well or whatever, click here, delete, right? You never click in that. The way to test that, right, is you go to your browser and you type www.paypal.com and you log in. If you log in fine and it doesn't bring up any messages for you, your account is fine. So it's same with Apple ID. But don't ever click a link inside of an email that talks like that. So here's spear phishing. And there's my kitty. Not my kitty, but there's a kitty that Dr. Thompson was talking about. So this is a very specific type of phishing. There's a component of social engineering that's gone into this. So a college about 60 miles east of here, the president's email had been hacked. So the email actually was hacked, and somebody acting as him sent an email to the payroll clerk and said, I need you to wire $37,000 to this account. And the wire happened.
So they didn't have Melissa.
I've gotten similar emails like that with them asking for a direct deposit form to change their banking account.
Mm-hmm.
Just got one last week.
Yep.
So
Oftentimes, so this college received, it was before your time in that role, but there was an email that appeared to be from Dr. Stuckey that went to the business office saying, I need you to wire $15,000 to a bank in the Netherlands. And what's that?
I said, yeah, because that happens all the time.
Right. But that email just appeared to come from the president. If once you looked into the tags, it really wasn't from him. But at first glance, you'd think that Dr. Stuckey was telling somebody to wire some money somewhere. So that's the difference between phishing, which is kind of we know most of the world has an Apple ID, so let's just blast them and maybe we'll get a couple of them, versus spear phishing, which requires a little bit of social engineering and very specific information. I want to back up to the very first point here. That's going to come back, but 92% of all malware that gets installed, like all over the world, comes via email. Somebody clicking in a link, somebody opening an attachment, something like that. So remember, 92% email, and then it'll come back later in the presentation here. Another type of attack is just a network probe. So this is somebody on the outside just touching everywhere where our network touches the world. Just kind of a brute force. Not very highly successful these days with the technology that we have, the ability to fight these types of attacks, but it can happen. Brute force. So I don't always solve computational intensive problems, but when I do, I brute force them. So this is not an individual necessarily guessing a password, but somebody that wrote a program that does nothing but guess passwords, just constantly hammering the account, trying to guess the password. And that actually has worked on me once, many years ago, before I was not the wise cyber guy I am now. But there was somebody had gotten into one of my accounts just simply by guessing the password. So this one, this is just you or a user visiting a website, and just by the fact that you landed on that page, the website can push malware out onto your computer. Ransomware. So this was all the rage last year, right? In April, May, there were several major ransomware strings that occurred, and what ends up happening is this ransomware gets put on your computer. Like 92% of the time it comes from email. Once it's installed on your computer, it encrypts all of the data on your computer and puts a phone number up or a website, say, call this number, go to this website, pay us a bunch of money, and we'll unencrypt all of your own data. So that's what ransomware is. It's like they're holding your data ransom. There are lots of other types of attacks, but those are the ones that we would be exposed to as end users. IT obviously has to worry about many other types of attacks, and we have the technology in place to do that. But the best thing, but why there is hope is because the vast majority of all attacks to end users can be stopped with 3 simple steps. User access control. So that's making sure that individuals only have access to the data, to the systems, to the information that they need access to. So limiting access. IT takes care of always installing patches and upgrades. So if the security patches are always up to date and the antivirus definitions are up to date, that's another very important step. And the third step, and that's why we're here, is user awareness. So if you know not to click on a link in an email and you just delete it, or not to open an attachment, that's going to protect you from 92% of all of the bad things that happen. And then next we're going to get into the password authentication. So at Northwest State, we've had several employee accounts compromised. And Google does a really good job of monitoring that, and they know right away, and they lock the account. So it is happening here. Fortunately, we haven't had any loss of data or breach or anything. But here's some best practices for authentication. So require multi-factor authentication. Many of you have probably already been exposed to this. You log into your bank, and they send you a code via text, and then you have to enter that code before you actually get in. Keep the characters between 8 and 64. And then these are some changes in the NIST guidelines that have come out more recently, and they actually contradict what the guidelines were before. It's a cyclical world, right? We're here, now we're here. So allow, but don't require special characters. eliminate mandatory password changes. So what was happening is, since you had to change your password every 3 months or 6 months or whatever it is, you're writing your password down on a piece of paper, right? Because, oh, I don't remember what I changed it to. Well, that in and of itself is worse than just keeping the same password in perpetuity. So eliminate mandatory password changes is a newer recommendation. And another one is use passphrases with some punctuation and intentional misspelling. So instead of a password or a string of characters that don't really mean anything, actually type in a sentence. A sentence that isn't meaningful to you. So if I were to say, can't wait for Ohio State to beat Penn State, that would be a bad passphrase because everybody knows I'm an Ohio State fan, right? But if you say something like, I like cold weather for Christmas, and you misspell Christmas, that's going to be a very difficult password to guess, right? It's a passphrase. Any questions?
Why'd you pick Penn State?
Oh, wait! That's the next game. That's all. It's just the next game. It's just the next game. Saturday, right? And this should go without saying, but it still happens all the time. My kids, they're still, Dad, here's my OSU password. I'm like, yeah, I just froze. I was actually at OSU orientation where the speaker in the front was telling the kids, the new freshmen, that you really should make your password easy to remember so you don't have to keep telling your parents what it is. This was to a group of 6,000 kids and their parents. I'm like, So don't share your password. So, this is where we're going. The part of this conversation is we are moving to two-factor authentication, and some of those other best practices that we just went over, we'll be implementing over the course of the next term. We will be requiring two-factor authentication by the time you come back for the spring term. But we also have it turned on such that you can enable it yourself now. And I'm thinking, before Christmas break, I can get it installed, so I know I'm fine over the entire break, and I come back, I know it's working. Versus let's wait until spring and we're really busy and we can't get access to our email. So I guess what I'm saying is I would recommend turning it on now while you can talk to IT. Yes?
So I'm gonna have to carry my phone into every classroom I teach in because I can't log into what I use in Google in the classroom without two-factoring.
Can I get that? Can I get to that? The answer is no,
Okay, good.
but we'll talk about it. So here's a bunch of screens on how to do it. I'm not going to walk us through how to do it. I wanted it part of the presentation so that when it gets emailed out, you have a step-by-step guide. So here are the options. Push notification to phone. So if you're logged in on your phone and you log into a computer that you have not used in the previous 30 days, a pop-up will come on your phone. It says someone's trying to log in. It says you, and there's a yes or no, and you click yes, and it allows that computer into your account. So you will have to do it once a month, but not every time you go into a classroom. So the next time you log in to Gmail from that computer, it will not require you to do two-factor. It's new devices, and there is an expiration. Does that make sense?
So it's every 30 days, every machine I log into.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to remember when to carry my phone into a
Do you-
classroom 30 days.
So do you actually open up your Gmail account?
Oh, absolutely, because
In
we
the
share,
classroom?
Because we share Google Docs on the screen, and the students can type notes into the Google Docs, and we keep the notes dynamic on the screen, so we go
Okay.
back and forth.
Okay. So we'll get this implemented, and then we'll get feedback like we do with every new process, and then we'll evaluate how it's working and how we can make it better. If we need to extend the expiration or do other things, we're open to that. But let's get it up and our data's safe, and then we'll tweak as we need to. The other option is to receive a text message. So instead of a pop-up on your phone, yes, no, you get a text message to your phone. Another option is Google Authenticator, an Apple Authenticator. It's just an app you install on your phone. I know it's going to be hard to see, but there's a 6-digit number up there, and that randomly changes. So when you go to log in, if you're using Google Authenticate, you would open this up and you would type in these numbers. So that's, you pick one of these, you wouldn't use all of them. Apple Authenticator works the same way. You could receive a phone call and they could call you with the code that it wants you to type in. Or there's hardware security keys that you can use. I've got one here. Looks like this. So that would be a way to avoid having the phone in the classroom. Add this to your keys or to your ID. So. Any questions? Any other thoughts, concerns that we need to think about as we move to two-factor? All right, thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Hey everybody, how are you?
Good.
I love the energy.
I'm so tired today. I had to get a battery fixed in my car this morning, so it's been a beautiful day so far. GameCon. Everybody aware that GameCon is happening on campus? Sweet. Two things I want to talk about today. I'm going to show you a video that was shot with our new camera equipment. IT was instrumental in helping us pick out some of the gear and making it happen. We shot an interview with multiple people on Discover Northwest State Day. One of those people being Todd, who tricked me into, I was going to interview him, but he ended up interviewing me about GameCon. So I want you to see the quality of this video and the content that we're able to put out, simply because I've got a bunch of students coming in, a bunch of students will be second year students, and one of the things that I'm going to require, hopefully of all of them, is to do co-ops. I would love for them to be able to work with any of the department's divisions who are interested in telling more of your story about what you have going down in your divisions, to work with them to be able to put out some content that looks like this. And then after this, I will answer some questions that you have with regard to... Thank you. Any questions you have with regard to GameCon? So, how do we play that?
It's coming.
It's coming.
Awesome.
I'm here with Todd Hernandez, Executive Vice President at Northwest State Community College.
Yep.
Is that all of your title?
Yes.
Or enough of it?
Yeah, enough of it.
And I'm Mike Vanderpool, Visual Communication faculty here at the college as well. So you want to know, well, you pulled a fast one on me because I was going to interview you and now you want to interview me. So
Yeah, I want to know more about your December event, gaming event.
Yep, December 7th, we're going to have our first ever Game Con on this campus.
Okay. What game are you going to be playing?
Anything and everything. So it started out as a way for us to kind of have just the community on campus doing fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Started with the game room that we built on campus, kind of expanding that in some of the consoles. We've got a Super Nintendo, original Nintendo, Atari system in there, some stand-up cabinets. We've got a group down there who are really into playing Smash Ultimate. So this whole video game thing that we've got going on, we decided to include those consoles for open play so anybody can come play those games, and then have a Smash Brothers tournament for the people who are a little bit more intense with the game.
Okay. So back to the game room. When did we install the game room?
Game room, I think...
It hasn't been that long, right?
No, game room just opened kind of for business officially this semester, so it's been a couple months.
I love the way, just in a few months, every time I walk by there, there's just a buzz. And there's people in there playing, and they're always nudging each other and banter back and forth. I love that space now.
It gets a little aggro in there at times.
Yeah.
Myself included. I've been practicing Smash because the first time I played them, I got beat pretty bad. So I have to go hold my own.
And I like the way that you can't hold on in conversation and play at the same time. I walked up to you while you were playing and just
It's
you
difficult.
died.
Yes, it's very difficult, right? Even the video I created yesterday promoting GameCon, I just did a noob jump into a pit because I was talking and saying, yeah. That's why I'm happy at GameCon, we're going to have Dustin Bradley, who is a graduate from Northwest State Community College, but has been doing YouTube streaming with gameplay, because I think that there's an art there, right? And there's people making livings as YouTube streamers. So he's going to be here with his setup and be able to talk about how he does what he does. Right? That would be cool. So GameCon, along with just the playing and the tournaments, we're also using it kind of as an educational opportunity to, one, reach out to parents to inform them about career and scholarship opportunities. The MAC is going to have esports. There's going to be esports more and more every day. High schools in the region are developing teams. I shouldn't say most, about 5 or 6 teams already exist. So this isn't something that's going away. Esports made more money last year than the NHL. So, you follow the money and
Sure.
it's not going anywhere.
So GameCon is kind of your launching recruitment event for esports as well? Or is that a component of it?
I've seen it as recruitment for my program specifically, visual communication, graphic design, because they play so well together. Like people who are doing YouTube streaming or professional gamers, one of the big things that they have to do is manage their own brand through social media and creating graphics and visual communication. I don't want to give away everything because I want to make a special announcement.
Okay.
With regards to how we are going to incorporate more gaming on campus at the event. But yes, if you're interested in esports, you should probably come to GameCon on December 7th at Northwest State Community College.
Great. You mentioned YouTube streaming a few times.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few podcasts that I follow. What's the difference between a YouTube stream and a podcast? Or are they really just two different names for the same thing?
One has video, one doesn't.
Oh.
So like Joe Rogan does a podcast, but he also shoots video of the podcast.
Right.
So then it's just another channel for it to be distributed with.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll see podcasts that are on YouTube that are just like a splash screen of a static graphic image with the audio playing underneath it. Other times there's a camera in the room recording of podcasting at a professional level looks a lot like radio. So it's just like putting a camera in the room.
Joe Rogan podcast is one of the ones I follow. Actually.
Nice.
Jordan B. Peterson is another one.
Oh yeah.
And those two couldn't be any more different, but they're
Have
both
they ever
very...
been there together?
Yes. Jordan B. Peterson did 2 podcasts where he interviewed Joe Rogan.
Nice.
They're both... Watch both of them, or listen to both of them. They're great.
Yeah, Peterson was one of the first people who actually started recording his lectures and putting them on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And then, did you see Snowden on Rogan's podcast?
No.
Oh, that's 2 good hours of Rogan talking for about 5 minutes and Snowden just revealing everything the rest of the time. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Back to GameCon, because I know your time is valuable today, but just to wrap up, we are going to also have board games and card games. One of our faculty members, Mike K., I'm not going to even try to pronounce his last name.
Kwiatkowski.
What is it?
Kwiatkowski.
Kwiatkowski? Awesome. He's a board gamer, and I guess there's a couple board game clubs, groups, Defiance, Brian, Mommy. We're inviting them to come in and set up and play some board games. So anything and everything in the space of having fun you can do here December 7th at Northwest State.
I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks, Todd.
Yep.
So again, the way I'm looking at GameCon, specifically recruitment for my program, but I think if I think about what's happened down in the game room and me being able to connect with those students in that space, I've had students now sign up for both video production class and for our screenwriting class that we have next semester for no other reason than the fact that I've been talking to them. So what I would love, and it's up to you, come to GameCon and talk to students, talk to people. We're gonna have over 200 people so far signed up to be on campus that day. All here to have a good time. Bring your friends, family, whatever, and we'll make it happen. So, any questions, comments, concerns? Yes, Mr.
How many
Jacobs.
students are actually signed up for the Smash Brothers tournament right now?
The Smash Brothers tournament was capped at 64 players. We have 70 players, which means 6 people are there. And they're 3 weeks away.
Do drones have a part in this state?
Drones will be flown on campus that day. somehow, some way. I'm not in charge of that. I put together, or I shouldn't say I, because Robert and there's a bunch of people who've been helping here. Robert's team will be working on some of the drone stuff because a part of esports is drones. Ottawa Hills, they've got a team. Napoleon has a team. Drones and esports seem to be hand in hand, even though when you think esports, you're probably thinking more video games than anything else. But yes, we will fly drones that day in the atrium with any luck. Yes.
Outside of drones and Smash Brothers, what else will there be?
That's a great question. I'm so glad you asked that. You're so hospitable.
I'm the hospitality.
Yes, Cassie is in charge of hospitality. So it's really grown. So in the auditorium, we're going to have the Smash tournament and a bunch of retro consoles, old school Nintendo, everything else. Also in the back of the auditorium, in the back one corner, is going to be a Lego build table. And then in the back of the other corner is going to be a VR setup for PlayStation VR and Oculus Rift. Card and board from Defiance. Is Mike K in here? Mike K helped make a nice connection into card and board from Defiance. The central lobby in E, I don't know what we actually call it, but not the main one that you walk in, but the second one in the middle there. That's all going to be board games, card games, D&D, Magic the Gathering. Every flavor of nerd you're interested in, we will have on campus that day. Then we're also doing some informational stuff. That morning we're having a breakfast with high school lead and tech leadership in the region talking about esports as it relates to implementing it in the high schools and also curriculum and career opportunities. They'll be around throughout the day as well to talk about stuff as it relates to education. I guess. Yes.
Is this a free event open to everyone?
Free, family-friendly event. Free. What's up? Oh yes, yeah. Free event, open to anybody and everybody. We are not going to let people drop off their Rugrats and leave, though. Children under 16 should be here with adults. And then yes, food will be I believe is it still a taco truck?
It's still a taco.
Taco truck. So that will be delivered via food truck, whatever, from 11 to 2-ish, whatever. So the event starts. The doors will open at 10:30 for the event. That's when the check-in for the Smash tournament will start. 11:30 is when the Smash tournament will officially start, and then we will be here until somebody wins the Smash tournament. So hopefully not longer than 4 or 5 hours, or 6 hours. This is a space that we can actually lead in, right? Nobody freaking knows we're here in Northwest Ohio other than us and a couple people who are trying to get money from us from Columbus. Everybody thinks Northwest Ohio ends at 75. This is our chance to actually do something kick-ass on this campus. You can believe that, can't you, Joel? On this campus that says we do cool stuff and we like to have fun and yeah, we'll learn along the way. Is this live streaming? Because I can.
You're not one of the George Carlin words. You're good.
Okay, sweet. Remind me what those are.
And who's your favorite faculty member?
Yes, but again, like this is not going away. All of the high schools in the region are going to get to this point, even though some of the high schools in the region, their superintendents are dead set against this. It's not going to stop it. And this is a chance for us to get people on this campus doing cool stuff and learn about our programs, serve them their vegetables with their ice cream. Shawnee's team has 43 students. Akron's team has 43 students. If I could get 20 students into an esports club or team on this campus that were full-time employees, I think you'd probably be happy. And that's part of the goal of this. So, any other questions from the plants in the audience? That was well orchestrated. Sweet, thank you for your time.
Hello, everybody. If anybody wants wants to do the old school retro Centipede Gen X Luddite, that's the only game I remember how to play.
I challenge you to a game of Dig Dug.
There you go. We wanted to talk to you a little bit about our ALP course here at Northwest State, because Amy and I just presented in October down in Akron at TICA. TICA is the 2-year College Association of English Teachers. Just a little bit of background. Around the time that Joe retired, we started really looking at our remedial options for writing. Like a lot of community colleges, we had multiple layers. Take a standalone reading course, take a standalone writing course, now you're ready for Comp 1. And here's what we know from lots of years of research. The more levels of remediation or roadblocks you have to the quote-unquote real courses, the higher attrition rate, lower retention. We just don't retain these students. They are the definition of at-risk students. And at the time, what a lot of people were really getting into, what was happening down in Baltimore, CCBC, Peter Adams, called ALP, which stands for Accelerated Learning Program. The basic concept is that you, like an investigative journalist, embed developmental students with the credit-bearing class. So instead of having multiple semesters where they have to take these classes that don't count, where they feel stigmatized, where they feel like they're not a real college student, they're in the college-level class and have a follow-up workshop taught by the same teacher. It's usually minutes after the regular class. Less credit hours, less credit tuition dollars, and less time that they have to wait to get to the real class. So as soon as I heard about the model, and at this time we had not yet hired Amy, so we didn't know who was going to be the developmental person, Lana asked me, would I do this? And I said, I will if I can do whatever I want. Which means infusing things with creativity, which is what I do in all of my classes. When I went on the lookout for a supplemental text, I was a little bit dismayed. I'm not a developmental reading or writing expert, yet what is out there, I read Rhet Comp theory, and 30 years of Rhet Comp theory tells us the direct teaching of grammar has a negligible impact on developmental writers, in fact, even a detrimental one. Yet what is out there are workbooks. So here's a workbook about comma splices. Why can't you learn to write? This is the anti-engaged learning. Enter textbook companies. No, well, we have online learning management systems with videos about comma splices, and we'll call that engaged learning. No, I don't want to teach it this way. So I thought, with my own pedagogy being founded in creative writing, what if I treated my remedial class, the students who don't want to be there, and a lot of times the teachers who don't want to be in front of these classes until we get to our real favorite classes. What if I treated them like my favorite class, which is always my section of Introduction to Creative Writing? What if I just faked everybody out and said, instead of a developmental remedial English class, this is going to be your favorite class of the entire semester? This is how I stumbled on Big Magic, which I was just reading on my own. Dr. Thompson mentioned, should I pick this up? And I actually think anybody who works with students or values creativity or needs a little slice of inspiration in your life should read this. It turned out to be such a great match for the ALP sections. It just fit in such a really, really wonderful way. It is unapologetically flighty, goofy, and self-helpy, as am I, but I feel like it really, really worked for what we wanted to do. So one of the things right off the bat was that, oh, I think I have a clicker. Speaking of Luddites.
Yeah, exactly. There, now your clicker should be working.
You realize you make me feel really good when you do
There you go.
This is our conference. Okay, so we're at TICA.
That's us.
Okay.
that.
Peter Adams, I went to a pre-semester workshop about ALP before I taught a single section, and he had this workshop on the non-cognitive aspects of developmental writers. This list should probably look familiar to anybody who works with students, and I have a background in academic advising, so I was like, oh, I already do all this kind of thing in and out of the classroom. Non-cognitive items are everything else. Not a student's ability to learn math or writing, but just everything else going on in their life, which is quite significant, especially for our kinds of students. So here, we think about creative writing pedagogy. Think of any applied kind of course, a woodworking course, a painting course, a creative writing course. What if on the very first day of class, we give you this inequitable, unfair measure of your skills, and then tell you, wow, it looks like you have a real problem with figurative language. Stand on the corner over here with like a dunce hat and just work on similes. We won't want to show you the big thing we're asking you to do, which is create a poem or a story. Just work on this over here. Pound nails if you're in woodworking. Look at mixing paints. We're not going to show you what a painting is. We don't treat anybody like they're not a beginner in applied creative pursuits. So why should we do this for an academic essay? What do we want you to do in an academic essay? Be persuasive, you be an ethical researcher, express yourself in this format of standard English. you absolutely are a beginner, and there's no reason for anybody to have these non-cognitive issues because they're in a developmental class. These are the major chapters of Big Magic. So when I went on the lookout for a supplemental text and didn't find anybody, and since Lana had told me I could do what I wanted, I said, well, I'm going to use something more like a common read, something that would capture students' attention, that we could use as a basis of class discussion, but also hit the nail of every non-cognitive issue. It's about self-efficacy. It's about time management. It's about kicking your lazy muse off the couch and getting things done, whether this is writing a poem or working on your comp essay. So I found it to just be a really, really great fit with the themes from Big Magic into those non-cognitive issues. And the non-cognitive aspect of ALP is a huge part of the pedagogy. It's the reason why they are embedded in that credit-bearing course, the reason that they persist, and the reason that we retain them more easily, because they feel like they're a part of the institution. They feel like they belong because they're in the college level class. And then just a few things that I do. I wanted the word workshop in my title. I didn't want to say remedial English or developmental writing. Workshop is the word we use in creative writing, and that's how we hammer out everything that we're working on. So these are just a few of the practices that I took straight out of creative writing pedagogy and infused into my developmental writing class. If I'm going to fake them out, then this is going to become their favorite class, I'm going to teach it like it's my favorite class as well. And students, you know, they pick up on that. Your enthusiasm level isn't a pedagogy, but it sure really does help, especially in a class where students already feel a bit stigmatized. So we tried to pick up some fun ideas, the development and forging of classroom friendships, of trust, of bond. They're a smaller group. It's basically 10 remedial writers embedded into a full section of comp, which is 24. So that ratio, when we do things like peer review in the big class, they're exposed to people who already theoretically can do this. And what turns out in a really tight-knit class is that people are like, well, what's going on afterwards? Are you always breaking for this 99? And they become interested. Well, okay, and people try to sign up for the developmental class now. Like, what's this writing workshop? Can I take it? No, you actually have to be placed into it. I would say placement was our biggest hurdle, and that was just kind of a banner issue. Now that we know how to get students into this course, and if you ever have a question or a problem or want a student placed, I can help you out. Just send me an email or call me in my office and I will help you place them. So just ideas. We're going to abbreviate this presentation that we gave. This will be on the slide that gets sent out. These are just a lot of activities connected to creative writing that I made about developmental writing. Then Amy came and crunched the cold hard numbers because she's really good at that, and the numbers part of my brain doesn't work very well.
Okay, so I hate to tell you this, folks, but developmental is a lot about the numbers, especially in reading and writing, and the sad number is 20%. Industry standard for if you take a 0 reading or writing class, only 20% of you ever take a credit-bearing class. That's not a writing class. That's any credit-bearing class. So walking into a 0 English class is a death sentence. It is attrition personified. The goal of every developmental English teacher is to stop that bleed. So what did I do? As soon as we were fully converted, that is, we have 095 and 111099 as the only developmentally marked English courses. By the way, 099 has to be co-credit bearing, so technically it's not a fully developmental course. I've started running the numbers. That means we have 6 terms worth of numbers. This is not a rolling 6, huh? Okay, so if you started in fall of 17, I am not tracking you through the semesters. This is purely everybody who since then has taken a developmental course, which means these numbers are artificially low because that 136 pass includes people who passed in summer who could not have possibly passed Comp 1 yet because they're in it right now. They're not included. So these numbers are artificially low, and look at them. 136 students have passed 111.099 successfully with a C or better. 35 have outright failed the course. 87 of those who passed took a course, any course, in a later term. Of the 35 who failed, 5 of them went on to take a class. Of all the numbers, I know that doesn't look impressive. that's the one that thrills me to the core. Because those 5 mean that students who fail a developmental English course are persisting across terms. That's a miracle on the order of loaves and fishes, folks. That does not happen in developmental English. The 43 are those who have gone on, these are generally the ones who started back in 2017. 43 have gone on to successfully complete Comp 2 or its equivalent, those meaning business comm or tech writing. And even better, that 9, I ran the numbers when I came. A lot of students declaring 090 were also saying they were pre-nursing. Would you like to know how many I could find in a 3-year period who actually made it into a nursing class? None. Zilch. Nada. No one in a 3-year period who took English 090 successfully took a nursing class. 9. And why do I pull that out in particular? The nursing students only need to take Comp 1. There is no follow-on writing class. So that's a nursing class on it. We are actually keeping the kind of students that everybody loses. And that's why this program works. If you think, oh, it's creative, blah. No, it's working. The numbers say it's working, and it's working better than what we had before. If you're wondering why we kept 095, well, actually these are the percentages for the 111, 099, if you prefer percentages across. There you go. The success percentage, the progress percentage for failure. 14% of those who fail still take a class. And the 38.24 is the full cycle success. That is the second add-on class.
Okay, just a few qualitative voices from students from certain activities. Some of these are just so wonderful from the very first couple pilot courses that I took when I realized that it was working. I'm so glad to this compliment of the numbers because it does seem a la la la. And if you're ever going to be like la la la, you need some, how do you like me now? Back it up with some numbers, right? Because that really works. I love it when it's cast in something that students have to say. There's a nursing one right there. I've never been so ready or happy to start my career in nursing until I started reading Big Magic. One of the really funny things is I got a lot of returning adult students, men, who, if anybody was going to roll their eyes at Elizabeth Gilbert, it would be that group. And they were the ones that would come up to me after class and be like, really, Gilbert's right. You know, this part about, they loved the book and they were just relating it to their own lives. So I have tons of qualitative stuff that's student voices and student testimonials about different assignments, some of them that I pulled right from the Big Magic assignments that we do that are connected to our writing assignments. And I don't have to go over all of those.
Yeah, and if you're wondering about why we still have 095, and you're saying, well, of course this works because Melanie now gets to skim the best of the developmentals and help them through when everybody else is going to fail at a higher rate. No, we are not true ALP. If we were a true accelerated learning program on the model, we would only have 2 courses, Comp 1 unaided, Comp 1 aided. For a variety of reasons, we can't do that. Part of it's time shifting. How many of your students can take a 5-hour course their first semester? And part of that is actually skill level. So we're maintaining 095, but 095 is being taught as a disconnected ALP. In other words, my 095s write 4 essays every term. Yes, those are 4 real essays. Yes, they're held to Comp 1 standards. And I tell them when they walk through my door, if you walk out, I am saying, I am guessing that you have a 75% chance or better of passing Comp 1 with a C. Because you don't pass this class unless I think you have a 75% chance or better of passing Comp 1 with a C. If you think she took the good ones and then my numbers are terrible, here's mine. I have a 69.44% success rate. That is the students who walk in, who walk out with a C or better. Of that 69%, 67% take a class in the next term. once again, this is a rolling 6. It doesn't count my summers who are in Comp 1 now. Of those, 59% take Comp 1 in a later term, 48% pass Comp 1 with a C or better, and so far we have 9% who pass Comp 2 with a C or better, which are all my beginners. So, once again, not a rolling 6, so these are artificially depressed. Even if she's getting the best ones and I'm getting the worst ones, they're still being successful at rates that are appreciably better than industry standard.
It's working.
It's working.
Questions?
Yeah, with your numbers, was it like out of your numbers that were successful, 60-some% that went on, or was it?
Yes.
I don't know, 60-some% go on. Okay.
Normally for the lowest levels of developmentals, you do funnel numbers. I don't quite have enough to do a reliable funnel number. Right now, my deviation would be huge. But my funnel number is looking right around the 70%. Unfortunately, right now the deviation is around 22% until I up my end. But we're consistently doing that. So as I get more students through the funnel, my deviation is going to come down and it's going to be reliable. But yeah, roughly 70% are successful, then 70% take the class the immediate following semester. So if I start with 10, 7 of them get out, and of that 7, roughly 5 are taking the class the next semester, between 5 and 6. Yeah,
It's over there. Ta-da-ta. I appreciate strong faculty work. It's one of the places where in the strategic plan, it's one of the places that you dotted as the highest point. It's going to be point 1 on the plan, which leads me, first of all, thank you, but point 1 on kind of who we are. I won't go through them all, but just we are doing well. We grew actually pretty fragile at the beginning of the term, and Todd just ran the numbers, and I know they're small here, but they're on the video. You can look at them. Yeah, we're growing. We are growing. It's a good thing. And we've been rewarded, and this is our funding formula, which is up 3.66%. So they put 2% more into the pie, and we got 3.66. That would be more, right? Yeah, it's good. Good to know. $400,000 more. And part of that is the very work that you just heard. Co-place in English, remediative, working on math as well, getting people into the 24 hours, 48 hours, and then eventually towards degrees. So we're being rewarded for the very good work that you just heard today. Good job on the dots. I think that's Cassie's favorite picture. She looks so thrilled there. Yeah, I love it. There's your ideas. We kind of laid them out, and the committee has met. So I'm just going to fly through them. This isn't because we're after 1 o'clock. So we have basically what's called a scaffolding. Took the ideas, hung them on some goals, like a scaffolding. They are, they can be played with at this point. But goal 1 is very much what we heard: educational environments, whether they be GameCon or using Big Magic in a classroom. The next is multiple partnerships, that video with Cherry Street and the other things that we do. Number 3 is a positive team culture, empowering team members to serve students. 4, intentional high engagement community model, being out, as we are. And then lastly, institutional effectiveness, some of the lean work that we do. So those are the scaffolds. And we're going to have a 30-day plus comment period. So from now till we term end, all the way December 20th, last day. And from now till then, you'll have the ability to kind of log in, check it out, play, write comments, and the committee will come back in January and start kind of working through those and kind of get out. So today, it was just the next step in the process. Dots, the dotted of ideas have now been hung like scaffolding on 5 goals, and now start talking about those goals and work from there. We're also going to solicit the community for those as well. All right. Don't need to know all that part, don't need to know all that part. Still looking for more Bowtie Tuesday people. I've got Todd, maybe one other so far. I noticed somebody snuck a ball. I thought this week's ball game was the important game for Penn State, not that one. But I didn't know. So we have lots of good stuff coming up. And that's what I've got. All right, we are past time, but I'll be happy to take questions if you have questions. I do one shout out for Dean Jason Rickenberg, who has joined our audience starting. And with that, I guess I'll be nice. OH! So it's okay. I can handle it. All right, take care.